this. I don't necessarily know the camera.
I don't know if you want that.
I do want that.
Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack, sports, life, and everything in between. We're glad that you're with us this morning. We are brought to you by Lidl Land and Cattle right here on 106.9, the Country Giant. Loaded and ready to roll. There's tons to talk about. Believe it or not, I know you think sports are fading away. They are heating up and plenty to talk about. Josh and I are here. Misty will be on her way. We'll be having our Big Country Electric My Town segment in our next break, and so we're looking forward to that. But Josh, good to be here. Loaded. There's tons to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about.
And so I want to jump into our Lawrence Hall headline report. Want to talk about it. We'll talk more baseball a little bit later, but you can't not talk about the 13-0. We joked how the Rangers were on a pace to win 162 games. The Tampa Bay Rays may just be about to do that.
They're still in that streak.
They tie the record, 13-0, winning last night, beating the Boston Red Sox, coming from behind, winning 9-3. But they're 13-0. A couple other things, and I'll need to look it up here in a moment. Elijah Boston, number one draft pick for the WNBA. Most watched WNBA draft, which women's basketball really got a big pickup, if you will, over the last couple of weeks because of the national championship. And so a lot of South Carolina girls drafted that night. And so anyway, that's happening. Lakers win and Hawks win to advance into the playoffs. They have secured the 7th seed. The Bulls and the Heat, the Bulls and the Heat, and the Thunder and the T-Wolves. The T-Wolves, and again, I know we're not a big NBA country here, but if you want to know about a team that needs some team building, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. They fought, they punched walls, and now they're trying to punch their way into the NBA playoffs. We'll see what happens. And the Lakers may be just heating up enough to find a way to maybe get on a run. I still, to this day, think Aaron Rodgers and LeBron James will never win another NBA championship. A couple other things. The Commanders are looked to sell. There is an offer from Josh Harris that is led by him, a group led by Josh Harris, to buy the Washington Commanders for a record $6.5 billion. He also owns the 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. Josh, my thought is if the Commanders are going to go for $6.5 billion, not that Jerry or the Jones family plan on selling the Cowboys anytime soon, but oh my goodness, if the Commanders are going for $6.5 billion, the Broncos went for $4 billion. What in the world could you get for the Cowboys?
It really is one of those things that kind of resets the market. It's like the house next door just sold for 190 a square foot. It's suddenly you're like, oh, maybe I should look into selling.
Yeah. And Jerry's like, well, we're not winning. I bet we could get a good deal on this. So anyway, the Commanders, a lot of stuff. If there's ever probably a group of people that are ready for a guy to leave, it's Daniel Snyder. The NFL probably is ready for Snyder to move on so that they can start afresh. Mavericks tank for hopefully better lottery balls, if you will. You want to talk about a mess? I think the Mavs may be a mess. You go and you get Kyrie Irving. Brunson leaves at the beginning of the year. You really don't help Luka. It may be an interesting offseason for the Mavs. A couple other things in NFL news. In NFL news, OBJ signs a $18 million one-year deal, $15 million of that guaranteed to sign with the Ravens. But he still doesn't know who's going to be throwing him the football. Can Lamar Jackson, Josh, come back? I mean, what does that negotiation, what does that conversation got to look like for OBJ to be catching passes from Lamar Jackson?
I mean, obviously, I think that's why they did it. I mean, because as far as I know, the Ravens have never acted like at all they wanted to move on. I mean, they did the franchise tag and all of that, but so I guess they have to assume he's coming back and hope that
or trading.
Yeah, well, right, and hope that Odell Beckham makes it more attractive to come back, because that was the thing you complain about not having wide receivers. Well, they just went and spent some money on one, although it's kind of strange. You got a lot of money, hadn't played in a while. It's been kind of in and out. So
well, and one of the things that they said in the that I'd seen on different radio shows and TV shows that I watch was that Odell must know something. I don't think he has to know something, Because when you start thinking about $15 million guaranteed, an $18 million contract, there's not much more to go get for a veteran, let's face it, at the end of your career contract. If I'm him, I don't care who's throwing me the football. I've already got a Super Bowl ring. I've already got the greatest catch that's probably ever been on TV that made one-handed catches the thing. I don't care if it's Hundley. I don't care if it's Joe Flacco. I don't care if you bring back Trent Dilfer for the Ravens. For $15 million guaranteed, I'm okay with that. But Lamar Jackson has got to, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have got to figure that out because we're 2 weeks away from the draft. And I'm excited about a segment that we'll be doing for the draft in 2 weeks. But you got to figure that out. I mean, if you're the Ravens, you're now in a chance to go from being the competitive team to be at the back.
Oh yeah, for sure. They not getting Lamar Jackson back would reset their franchise. That's always the case when you lose a franchise quarterback, but it would be something that it would take years to overcome.
And the only way that you're really going to get any better immediately, and we don't know if that's guaranteed because the guy that in the draft is you're going to have to trade Lamar to somebody to pick one of these people in the draft. C.J. Stroud, get up there, trade Lamar to the Colts, trade Lamar to the Texans or somewhere like that where you can, because there's not anybody available right now on the free agent market that's going to make you better.
Right.
You're not going to go get Matt Ryan, who's, obviously out the door. Phillip Rivers is probably having another kid somewhere and coaching high school somewhere else. So there's nobody out there to just go get. And so anyway, so Lamar Jackson is gone. OBJ's got a team now, and we'll see what happens there. A couple other things for the show, just let you know, when we come back, we're going to have our Big Country Electric My Town segment with the new head basketball coach for Abilene Cooper, Michael Bacon, familiar voice of the show. All the things. Of course, we'll have Misty's Bag. We've got a new segment coming up. We're looking at, don't forget, you can go get Got Your Number. I'm showing it to you on Facebook Live, the Mike Greenberg book, Got Your Number. We'll be looking at a number today that I thought was going to be somebody. Mike Greenberg decided on somebody different, and we'll see if Josh agrees as well. But again, that's our Lawrence Hall headline report. Appreciate Lawrence Hall. Go find them today if you need a new car, truck, or SUV or used. They can get you taken care of. When we come back, our Big Country Electric My Town segment. Bacon's always good in the morning, and we'll have Michael Bacon right after this. All right. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this. You and George Strait. Now, Josh, there's things I don't like you to say. I need you to be quiet. Quiet, please. If we don't like it, we're going to give this to Josh right here. Quiet, please. Show that quiet right up here.
We got back from day 2 of district track last night. I got home about midnight.
Y'all just now had district track?
Yeah, we had it Wednesday and Thursday. Varsity kids and our.
Do y'all have an area track meet like everybody else?
Yep. Friday and love it.
A lot of I know like
Front, we had
2A had their area track meet yesterday.
We had about 4. I'm really with the girls track more than the guys. 4x1 got out.
So you changed from softball to track?
Heck yeah. It's been a good trade.
You know who the top 3 all-time years worn in Major League Baseball for number 7 was?
Say that question again.
The baseball players that wore the number 7, who wore for the most years?
Hodge played forever.
Hodge is number 1. At 21 years, he wore the same jersey number. And the next 2, who would you guess?
I don't know who else has worn it besides Mantle.
Mickey Mantle wore it for 18 years. He played 20 years, so it must have been a different number.
His first team. I think when he came up,
It's like, a lot of times when you're a rookie, you just get like, here's whatever number. And the Yankees were always very selective of who they gave single digits to. Because like all of them are retired.
So I think it's in the intro. It's either the intro or when they get to number 3 on how jersey numbers came to be.
Mm-hmm. Babe got number 3 because he hit number 3,
and that's why Lou Gehrig was number 4.
Yeah, like it was just like where you're at in the lineup. That's your number.
Hey, coach, what number are you? You're 3. Where'd I bat? You're 3.
Craig Biggio, 19 years. That's
My brother-in-law's favorite player.
But,
there was a
so there's
stretch
3 Hall of Famers just right
when
on
the
bat.
Astros were good, and unfortunately that strike season when Bagwell was hitting bombs and probably on record to hit however many he was going to hit.
Yeah.
And they had the strike, I guess it was 94, that they were probably going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Rangers were pretty decent that year also. And so were the Expos, famously. They were always terrible in that year.
Still say that's one of the best uniforms and hats of all time is the Montreal Expo hat. In my opinion.
I agree.
I'm not sure what kind of cough I got going. Oh, yeah. Those tickets go on sale today at 10.
What tickets?
George Strait.
George Strait where?
Yeah. Hey, good. I got the new Mulligan's commercial in.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Got to get ready for my town theme music.
I wasn't ignoring you when you texted me and Kirby. I just found out that I was kind of hiding.
Oh, no, you're good.
Hiding.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. We are rocking and rolling, kicking off that first Embark Land Management Hour, and it's time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment, brought to you by Big Country Electric Cooperative, representing their members in 3 amazing offices, Roby, Snyder, and Stanford. We highlight a local player, coach, or program every time, and today we're highlighting a coach, a program, and a new coach in a familiar place and a familiar name. And it's kind of like, it's not really Adam Schefter, but this is what they do. They get the new coach that's in, and they bring him on. And joining us in our Potosi Live studio, the new head basketball coach of Abilene Cooper, Michael Bacon. Bacon, how does that sound?
That sounds pretty good. Been waiting a long time to hear that.
Well, and again, coach has been on before, and so you've been at Cooper how long?
This is my 5th year.
So 5th year there, assistant under Coach Conover, who made the decision to step down, wanted to, work with this. I mean, get to the age where kids playing and want to be there. And coaching basketball is hard. Coaching basketball in Abilene can be hard because so much football is the thing. But I've always thought Conover, you, Wilcox, and Alcorn, y'all's staff have done a really good job of being competitive and obviously making playoff runs, and so I just want to give that credit to y'all as a staff of what y'all been able to do. And then, him making that call was one that he kind of knew that he was going to do that. It was kind of one of those, he didn't get to do like what Derek Jeter and Coach K and them did at every new stop. Hey, here's a pair of boots, and here's a Lubbock Pirate hat. We love you. Appreciate it.
I wouldn't want it.
No. But so in all that process of making that, you're the new head coach. What was that process like? This isn't your first head coaching job. You've won a state championship at Abilene Christian. You were at Ballinger. But what was the process like of when you made that decision in the interviewing process? Because, and I said it in Austin, we made that announcement when I was in Austin doing the show there. I said, if Bacon doesn't get this job, Abilene ISD has made a terrible choice. So what was that process like?
I guess there's kind of 2 parts of the process. The first part was knowing in advance, and Brian hadn't necessarily made a secret of it, that he's known for a handful of years that this could probably be what was going to happen, that he was going to get out to take a teaching job, to be with family more, and specifically Coach Ben more in the summer, spring, and fall, as he's about to be a 7th grader. The second process of that really started late in the season this year when he said, hey, this is it. And he certainly supported me through that process and recommended that I get the job. He talked to the powers that be on our campus in downtown a little before spring break, right before we went to the state basketball tournament. And we came back. He told the kids the job got posted. I applied. The job was posted for 10 days and the interview started. I interviewed for the job last Wednesday. Found out Thursday that I was their choice. We had a press conference and told the kids on Tuesday. So it was opened up. It was posted. It got a lot of interest. And there were certainly a strong field of applicants. The guys that got interviewed, I know at least one of them is a really good coach, head coach that has been successful lately. So honored and humbled and grateful that Gar and Lindsay and Ron believed in me and my vision for what we wanted to keep doing. And honestly, more than anybody else, Wilcox and Alcorn and Conover. Alcorn's been a head coach. He's been in the regional tournament. Wilcox could be a head coach any day. Although I hope he stays with us a while longer.
Right.
And then Conover. Conover had my back and supported me and some other people on campus too. Scott Stewart, our defensive coordinator, Mitch Aston, our golf coach, and several others. So
there's
it's not about me, man.
Right. But one of the things, and we've seen it at other places where we've seen it here in town. Coach Golding goes on to UTEP.
Yeah.
Coach Tanner gets it. Now we've seen it. Of course, Mark Adams moves to the deal. What are you looking forward to? Well, let me go back to this. How great do you think it is for the kids knowing that the change is there, but it's not, oh my gosh, we don't know who this guy is, but we know Coach Bacon.
Right.
We've played for Coach Bacon, maybe as freshmen and underclassmen coming up the way.
Yeah.
How big of a benefit is that going to be that not a lot? Now, you may do some stuff differently.
Yeah.
But that security for the kids, how big is that?
It's a big advantage. And it's certainly a huge thing for them. Honestly, day to day for them, there's not just a whole lot that's going to change. Now, how we play may change a little, especially offensively, but their day to day, as far as who's doing certain things in practice, and in the film room, not a lot for them is going to change, except who's standing up Tuesday and Friday. We've been really fortunate. All three of us at Bryan has let us coach a lot and let us be us. So it's a big advantage for our kids and our staff that this transition should be pretty seamless.
So what are you looking forward to most about going from what I used to always say, the JV game at 5 to that varsity game at 7:30, or it used to be 6:30 and 8? Because you've been a head coach again, like I said, at other places.
Right.
And now when you were in the Metroplex, were you a head coach there?
I was a varsity assistant.
Okay.
It was fairly
similar to what you're did now. So what are you looking forward to at the 5A level that's a little bigger than Ballinger, a lot bigger than ACHS,
Right.
but being able to move over that seat that you're looking forward to? Because everybody has dream jobs, everybody has the opportunity. Getting to do it at the 5A level is a big deal. And one of the things that I'll mention, I saw on Twitter, Colorado City's looking for a coach. Right. And I asked, did Barry Kimball retire? And he said, well, some guy stepped in last year and took it on. Long story short, good coaches are leaving the profession.
Yeah.
And you're one of those that are staying put and doing it, and it's in your blood. You probably wouldn't know what to do else otherwise. But what are you looking forward to moving over to that seat?
It's hard to answer because there's a lot of things. I think the first thing will honestly be probably the first game of the season we played West High that we signed the book and shake the official's hand and I don't have to sit down.
Right.
That's really the first thing that comes to mind. That being said, I've wanted to be a head basketball coach at Cooper Avenue High since I was about 12 years old. So it's hard to narrow it down to one thing, but the first thing that comes to mind, and if Caleb Smith, basketball official, joked with me the last 4 years, sit down, Bacon. And he texted me when I got the job and said, hey, you're going to have to sit down. So that would definitely be one of the things.
So, again, been on some playoff runs the last couple of years. I always ask coaches, is the future wearing shades? what kind of work do you see in moving and taking the baton from Conover and continuing that successful program that y'all done a really good job in? Again, like I said, and I don't mind saying as a basketball guy, sometimes coaching basketball in some of the towns that football is the thing. What are you looking forward to keep that baton going?
I think we have a really good group back. I mean, we returned 3 starters and 3 other guys that at certain points all helped us win district games this year. So there's a lot of experience in that top 6, and 2 of those 6 are freshmen. I think our guards are all back, and our guards should be better. Inside, we lost a really good player, Jen Rivera, another good player, Maxwell Filate, and they'll be hard to replace. But I mean, we've got a freshman named Dyson Davis that has already gotten a lot of Division I football attention, and he's got a chance to be a really good basketball player too. At the end of the year in practice, last year we didn't have, in my opinion, the best big in our area in Rivera. Then Dyson would play a lot more. So I feel good about what we have back. There's certainly some guys that have been on our JV last year that are going to have to, step up to the plate, and I think they will. As far as what we're doing day to day, we'll tweak it partially based on we've got a couple more than normal coming over from football, and we're really going to have to take advantage of our time this summer when we have them
to get better skill wise.
Yeah, I mean, skill wise, and just reduce the learning curve when they come over from football. Because that was an issue this year. We'll schedule a little differently, not a ton. But day to day, find ways to get better and keep doing what we have been.
Now, one of the things that the biggest school I was ever coaching at was Dimmitt and Merkel and 3As. Back then, the old 3A, which I guess 4A now. But what kind of involvement do you look to see, and can it be of the junior high level of your feeder schools that come into Cooper? What kind of involvement do y'all get to have at the bigger school level?
We get to have a decent amount. I tell you, that's an area where we need to get better. I think if you asked any coach in Texas where they could get better, all of them are probably going to say junior high because you can't spend enough time there. We have 2 feeders and we have true feeders. They're not split. Kids at Clack and Madison are coming to us, and that's a huge advantage. And that's one of the best things that our district has ever done was set it that way because, like Irvin, we had split feeders and it wasn't a true feeder system. So that's a big advantage, and we've got to continue to spend time there and get those guys better.
So head basketball coach at Cooper, and I know it's a big deal. Support, wife as the support that you have, and I saw that in the press conference and the pictures of Sarah, and so talk about the support it takes to have that coach's wife that understands the role. I've said all along, there's 2 wives that got to be called: pastors' wives and coaches' wives. They've got to be called.
I knew within about 2 weeks of meeting her that she had the patience to follow me in this career. We followed her career when we moved to Dallas. But, I mean, Sarah's watched games in gyms from Clyde to Duncanville. So, and Irving and all over that area, and now in our area. So she's seen a lot of levels of basketball. She gets it. If I say, hey, I've got to go do this, she gets it. She doesn't ask questions. I don't get an eye roll or a sigh. I did tell her and kind of prepared her for this. When I was head coach in Ballinger and we were engaged, she was living in Dallas. We got married and I moved. So she has never lived with me since I've been a head coach. And I've kind of prepared her to say, hey, there's some stuff that may be a little different. Now in the spring, I'll be home a little more because I won't have a second sport. But she's ready. She's a stud. I mean, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. So.
Right. And you got a great little fan too.
Oh yeah. I'm paying for the sins of my raising a little bit with her. She's way too much like her daddy. But yeah, it's she's one of the coolest things about this is that she gets to keep coming Cooper. She came to practice all the time last year, especially on Saturday. She hasn't quite grasped the concept of graduation. When she doesn't see Rivera and Max next year at practice, she would probably be sadder than me.
Right. Well, again, congratulations. You deserve it. Like I've said from the get-go, Abilene ISD, Abilene Cooper made the right choice.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing Cougar basketball continue to be successful.
Yeah, hope so. Appreciate you for having me.
All right, that's Coach Michael Bacon, the new head basketball coach at Abilene Cooper. When we come back, we'll dive into some baseball talk. 13-0. The Rangers still trying to figure it out. And Seager to the DL. We'll be back right after this.
Appreciate you, man.
Oh, same here. I wonder if I can get a text. Oh, no. Somebody just texted. Is he related to Ricky? Not related to Ricky, but
I've been asking.
yeah, I think this is that tree. I think that's tree.
It is? Okay. Perfect.
I smelled it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
See ya. It worked out good. Rangers. Did they play yesterday? Did they win? I need
No,
to.
they didn't play.
I'm assuming it's just a 3-game series with the
Yes.
Astros.
From the hilltops to the rooftops, you are a member of an electric cooperative.
That means you have a say.
A voice in how your co-op is run.
You what's best for the community. How are you?
For the people, from the people. Doesn't that sound good? Learn more about the power of your co-op membership.
Offices in Stanford, Moby, Snyder, and at BigCountry.com.
Hi, I'm Sharon Love. Here in Abilene, folks have lots of options for eating out. From Walker's Chinese to locally owned mom and pops like us.
Did y'all go to Leanne's for Easter?
Mm-hmm.
And are always striving for what
Yeah, the rodeo is in town.
So we're listening to you and have updated our menu, bringing back old favorite.
Their rodeos now.
And adding more small.
Yes, this weekend's the finals.
So come see us.
It's not. I mean, do they have one during the stock show too?
No, they used to be at the same time, but they pushed the rodeo back because of COVID, like in 2021, and just left it there. I liked it better in February because there's less other things going on. But okay.
Call 325-668-7071 and check out the website at embarkland.com. The time has changed and it's time to hit the range. At Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill and Golf. Come relax on the patio. Golf balls on the driving range. Play 18 holes and you'll enjoy a delicious meal, cold drinks with friends. At 1166 Midwich Drive, Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill and Golf. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. We're rocking and rolling in our first Embark Land Management hour here at the bottom of it. Trucking along Michael Bacon again. Appreciate him and congratulations to him on the new gig as the head basketball coach at Cooper. And we have a new coach in Texas. His name is Bruce Bochy. And the Rangers are rocking and rolling at 7-5 on top of the American League West with the Los Angeles Angels. And Josh had a record last week, 9 straight strikeouts. He was 4 shy of 13, which is the number of wins that the Rays have. Let's talk real quick. 13-0 maybe the Rays, maybe we expected this, but even in that level of baseball, we know they're not going to go 162
Right.
0. Being able to stay that consistent that long, even early in the season, is pretty impressive. They tie the record, win one today. They'll obviously break that record.
Mhm.
But 13-0, pretty impressive.
It is very impressive, and they've played very, very well through the whole thing. Their pitching staff was good, and everyone knew that coming into the year. That's kind of Tampa Bay's thing. They find these guys and do whatever they do, whatever voodoo magic they have in Tampa Bay. One of their starting pitchers that they just signed to a long contract was Jeffrey Springs, who pitched for the Rangers, who was mediocre and ended up there, and now he's he's multi-year deal, top of the rotation type pitcher, who also just left the game injured yesterday or the day before. So don't know what that status is on that, but yeah, I mean it's very impressive, and they're winning ball games impressively. They've hit more home runs than they've allowed runs. That's a weird stat. They have hit more home runs than they have allowed runs.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. But word of caution before everyone orders their World Series rings. The last time a team went 13-0 was in 1987. It was the Milwaukee Brewers. They finished that year 91-71 in third place in the AL East, thus not making the playoffs. The time before that it happened was the 1982 Atlanta Braves, who finished the season 89-73. They did make the playoffs and lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Cardinals. So the history of 13-0 doesn't really pan out. So that's just an interesting thing that both those teams struggled to even get to 90 wins, much less 162 wins.
Well, and the irony of it is they're 13-0 in a market that really doesn't care.
They get 20,000 people to the ballpark, and that's a big crowd.
Well, they're in a market that nobody really cares. And then the two best players in baseball right now are in a market that nobody cares. Somebody posted on Facebook, or it was on Twitter, a picture of the stadium in Anaheim with Ohtani pitching, Ohtani doing everything that he does, and there are more people in this studio right now than it looked like was at that stadium. And so it's just ironic of how baseball, the two best players on one side, they're 7-5 and doing things. And then you get a 13-0 team that people would rather be on the golf course, on the beach, doing anything else than watching Tampa Bay baseball.
Right. And unless the Yankees come to town, because all of them came from New York to go down there anyway.
So all the snowbirds are there watching that.
But it is very interesting, and the Angels have a I guess a lurid history of not being very good recently, and don't have the glitz of LA always is with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have been very good lately, so that doesn't help, as far as that goes, and it's really kind of amazing how bad the Angels have been, considering that they do have top level talent. It just, they don't really have much of a team around that. But baseball season has started out very interesting. The Rangers were off last night, so I just flipped on the TV when I was cooking some chicken for dinner, and out on the back porch, and I was turned on a game. It happened to be the Twins versus the Yankees, and that game was 9-0 before the end of the top half of the first. The Twins were just pouring it on. I was like, well, I'm going to watch something else. This is not even a ball game.
And that's the thing, trying to find stuff to watch now. Sports is a lot to talk about, but sometimes on TV, and depending on your television situation, you may not be watching the Rangers. I was joking with Zach. I get my Rangers update on our text chain. That's how I know what's happening with the Rangers, because of Valley's not figuring it out. So speaking of the Rangers, again, they're 7-5 heading into Houston. We mentioned Andrew Heaney tying the AL record, not striking out 9 straight fellas. Last person to do that was Nolan Ryan. So things are going good. Seager, we don't know how long.
They say a month. So mid-May. which hurts because he is the best player on the team. Well, at least the best position player. I mean, Jacob deGrom's doing big things, also leading the AL in strikeouts. But yeah, that hurts because the lineup, as we've talked about, is a bit top heavy anyway. With Simeon, Seager, Lowe, and Garcia coming into the season, you expected them to do what they've done, and they've all lived up to it. But Seager is the best of the bunch, and you can't really replace that production. And and to be honest, when in the game that he got hurt, there was a play that Josh Smith played shortstop. He's an adequate shortstop. He doesn't have quite the arm that Seager has, and there was a play that I believe Seager would have made that throw at first base that he did not. The throw was just a little weak, and so it hurts us kind of on both sides of the ball. But
so how big? So again, you mentioned 13-0. Ray's got a lot of games left. 7-5. The Rangers have a lot of games left. But in a confidence builder, without Seager, all that, we're going to play the Astros more than once. This is not the first series, and it's the first series, but it's not the last.
Right.
We're going to play them repeatedly. But I think for a new franchise and a new excitement that we anticipate for this year, this weekend series with Houston, going on the road, going into Houston, who is still trying to figure out. They're still figuring themselves out, even though they're not dominating, and they are 6-7, and the Rangers going in at 7-5. I think it's a big series where the Rangers need to come in, play confident, find a way to win the series. If you sweep it, it's fantastic. But to kind of say, hey, we are in this division. We are here to compete. I'm not saying it's make or break, but I also think it could be a big confidence booster heading into this weekend and then moving on to Kansas City.
I agree completely. It's one of those things that baseball is a long season, so it's going to have peaks and valleys. Every team's going to go through a stretch where they lose several in a row. Hopefully, you win several in a row also. But that the loss of Seager and then the way that last game there fell apart for the Rangers against the Royals. Yeah, I got tongue-tied. That didn't leave you feeling all warm and fuzzy, even though the record was good. And having a 2-1 homestand against a team is perfectly fine. You do that all year long, and you'll be in the playoffs. So you can't really get too upset about it. But if you really want to get that confidence back and get that swagger back, going into Houston and winning some games would do it. If they took 2 of 1 over the weekend or went 2-1 over the weekend, I would be ecstatic. It's just one of those things that you want to beat your rival, you want to beat the people that are considered to be the big dog, and if you want to assert yourself as we're in this conversation, it's time to start doing that.
And if you do it now this week, Perez is pitching today, Gray's scheduled to pitch tomorrow, and then Heaney on Sunday. If you can do it without DeGrom having to pitch, it's another thing. Hey, we're doing it without DeGrom, and you go into Houston, and I'm not saying, and I guess you do. You set some dominance of hey, we are here, and so that I look forward to.
We're not a rollover. We're right.
And I'm going to be out of town, and so hopefully the place that we'll be staying will have the Ranger game, so I can actually watch it. But play tonight. They play tomorrow, a night game as well, and then Sunday, ESPN. So ESPN on Sunday night.
Game of the week. I thought they were back to back.
Which is also another fun thing. Which is another
open up the season 3 times, I guess.
Which is another fun thing that we're starting to see. The Rangers are the Cowboys, where in that the Cowboys are always going to be the highlighted game. And now that we're looking at the third time if you count this, the Fox telecast.
They're the Fox game.
But you got ESPN already making you a game again for Sunday Night Baseball. So it's a big deal. The Rangers are doing well. We're going to continue all year long having our Texas Ranger weekly recap. Hopefully we'll be next week talking a recap about, which again is such a weird scheduling situation. Hey, play Houston. Oh, you want to play Kansas City? How about you go see them again? Such a weird deal.
It was play Kansas City at home, go on the road, then 3 games and back to Kansas City. It's weird.
Yeah. And so anyway, Rangers 7-5 heading to Houston this week. When we come back, Masters recap. It was great. Weather was terrible. I felt sorry for people that had tickets on Friday and Saturday, and thank goodness the trees in Augusta are smart as well. We'll be back with our Masters recap right after this.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hello. How is your day going?
So far, so good.
So good, so good,
Yeah.
so good.
So far, so good. It's still early though,
It's Friday.
but it's Friday, so
You know,
praise be.
Your little overall dress. I like it.
Yes.
Now the only
It's gonna
thing
be
that,
like
overall
90
dress,
today.
yeah.
the only thing that would be cooler is if you do like they did back
Yeah,
in crisscross. You
yeah.
got to throw one
one
thing
yeah.
over, or actually
I do remember when
I should do
overalls,
that and
over,
just see if anybody
yeah.
says anything.
when overalls were like, I guess that was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Then you
It's
have to,
gonna
have
be
to
like 90 today.
undo one strap or strap it like a cross.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, you yawned. It made me yawn.
I know. I was sleeping so good.
You were sleeping so good.
I did not want to get up. Oh, there's people up there on the roof. Yeah, I did not want to wait across the.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
I did not want to get up.
At first, I was like, "There's a couple birds there. I think you need to get your eyes checked."
You're like, what did you take on the way to the
Yeah.
show?
I was sleeping so well since I did shrooms.
Yeah. I just don't feel like I slept good like all week except for last night, and so probably because I was just exhausted. But
I don't work out on Hodge Pack mornings.
Yeah,
I
no.
wake
Don't
up.
work
I
out,
wake up at
period.
the same time, but I don't work out.
I don't work out.
So-
Period.
My alarm goes off at 5 o'clock, like every not the weekend, but like
Yes.
every weekday.
yes,
And
yeah, I don't work out
90
on Friday morning. Sometimes Friday
90%
evening,
of the
but,
time, I'm awake before my alarm goes off. Just like, which
and 5 is, I mean,
and
early.
this morning I woke up and I was like, I'm not gonna look at the clock. I don't know what time it is. Like if I wake up during the week and I look at the clock and it's like 4:45, I just go ahead and get
Yeah.
up. You know,
Right.
like
Because what's the point?
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Doesn't that suck though? You're like, give me my 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Well, but I've learned if I go back to sleep at that point, I will feel like crud.
I know.
Like,
Or you'll oversleep. Like then you get a little lazy. You're like,
Yeah.
crap. Now it's 5:15, or yeah, it's like you just want to lay there.
But today, I don't know what time it was. I woke up. I just felt like the alarm was going to go off any second. But I was like, I'm not budging.
Yeah.
I'm right here.
Ugh.
And I kind of went back to sleep, but the alarm went off and I was fine. But
Yeah.
I just didn't look at the clock.
So do you work out at home or do you go and work out?
Thought it worked out. I haven't looked at it.
Hey,
Okay.
that's what I do. I mean, I have my Peloton tread and bike and a little like weight set, and
I want to get some weights.
I just get in
I need
there
to.
and do my thing. And
I just love y'all's inspiration.
I have a TV in there, and so like especially when I'm on the treadmill, I'm
It looks
watching
like
like
this little thing that you can put your iPad on.
Yeah.
And it holds it, so I just like
yeah.
put that on there.
I like to watch something because then it makes the time go by
Uh-huh.
fast. But I usually do like a hike, like I'll crank it up to like 12, for the incline, and then I'll do like a 30 or 45 minute. But I feel like I do better.
I do high
if-
resistance on the
Yeah.
bill. Like Lan uses it, she puts like no resistance and just like tries
Yeah.
to go faster. you know?
Yes.
And I don't know. I put a lot of resistance and go slower.
Yeah,
But-
I try to do like a true okay, I'm hiking.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, at least you're doing something. It's better than some of us can say.
You need to get some weights like those curls.
Heck yeah, pop up the
Yeah.
jam.
The claps you hear is John Rahm getting applauded as the 2023 Masters champion. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports life and everything in between. We are rocking and rolling in our Embark Land Management hour number 1. Trucking along again with our Masters recap. Misty joining us now. We've got the whole pack here. We'll do her bag at the top of the hour. We will open that up and be nervous, I'm sure. But again, the Masters took place this past weekend. And again, congratulations to John Rahm. I thought it was a great Masters. It was what I think the television folks wanted. You had live guys that were competing. You had Brooks Koepka that was in the middle of it. Then you had Phil Mickelson on Sunday out of nowhere. What was bad was the weather Friday and Saturday having to be postponed and move everything out and canceled. I've never been, I was going to say, I have made other good decisions, but probably one of the best decisions that I've made was last Friday thinking, well, I'm going to go eat lunch and watch the Masters. And I thought, well, it's a really decent day. It's a real nice day. So I decided to go play golf, which was the right decision because the Masters ended up getting suspended and postponed. Same thing on Saturday. Of course, the weather was immaculate. Saturday was great. And then had Easter Sunday, which in years past, Jordan Spieth had won on Masters Sunday, whether it's the Valero or when he won the Masters back in 2015.
On Easter Sunday?
Yeah. What did I say?
Masters Sunday. Like, well, if you win the Masters on Sunday, it's usually
it's
Masters
Masters Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, it was fitting because my master, Lord and
There you
Savior,
go.
my
It's
master,
all fitting.
Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yeah, good
And
save.
his favorite
Did-
sport.
It's so.
Touche.
So anyway, but Sunday was great. We had Easter, then we went and ate, and then came home, and that's what I did. I watched Sunday at the Masters, and it was as advertised. It was everything that you could want. And John Rahm winning, the fourth Spaniard to win it on Seve's birthday, which is Seve Ballesteros, who the legendary Spaniard golfer. They pointed out that the bib, the numbers that the caddies wear was 49, was 49, and so anyway, I enjoyed the Masters. Now, one of the things that was surprising was how well the live guys played. If you look at the top, Mickelson shot 8 under, Koepka shooting 8 under. Right there, Patrick Reed shooting 7 under. And I did say this. First of all, did y'all watch any of it? Did y'all get into it at all?
I follow it a little bit. I mean, our Easter activities did not allow me to be where I could see the TV constantly. And I had to go inside. There was no outside TV where I was. So I'd go check it out, go back outside.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a big weekend with Ethan in town and prom, and
Yeah, I
so
followed. Yeah, I definitely followed. And I was, when Phil started kind of coming up, I was like, oh my gosh, is he gonna take this? So
well, and I was disappointed that Jordan bogeyed, had a terrible shot on 18, and bogeyed 18 because it'd have been nice for them both to be 8 under in the clubhouse and everybody waiting. But then Rahm
just see if someone else falls apart.
Right,
Yes.
and to see if Rahm comes back down because Koepka, that's exactly what he did.
yes.
Koepka it was his to win.
Mhm.
And that's the thing about golf. Do I think Rahm came back and won the Masters? I do. I think, but I also, part of that is Koepka lost it. Because
Oh, he totally lost
you
it.
cannot lose.
Sucks to be that guy.
I think it's fantastic.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
No,
in that
I'm glad.
moment-
I'm glad it happened to Brooks Koepka. My wife, not a big fan. I did earn a little more appreciation of Brooks Koepka from Full Swing, but you can lose. You cannot lose a tournament and still get beat. If that makes sense, you can give it away, and then like Jordan Spieth to this day, Danny Willett should send him a thank you card every year on that Tuesday he gets to go to the Masters dinner. Because the reason Danny Willett is a Masters champion is because Jordan Spieth dunked it into hole 12 and lost it. He lost the Masters. I think Brooks Koepka with a tweak of loss, but he got beat by John Rahm. John Rahm was on a mission. He birdied 14, which not very many people did. He hit I don't know if it was nerves, but he hit a drive that looked like I hit it on 18. He hit it left, hit a tree, got kicked back out in the fairway, still found a way to par it.
That wasn't pretty incredible after that.
But I do want to
shot.
say, everybody's like, man, I was so impressed with the live golfers. I was not impressed, and I was not surprised. The reason I wasn't surprised that the live golfers played well is because it's a course. The reason Phil's there, he won. The reason now Brooks Koepka hadn't won, but he's played well and competed in the Masters. Patrick Reed, former Masters champion. So the fact that those guys played a familiar golf course well doesn't surprise me. What's going to surprise me is when you get to the other 3 majors, if you can go to those places that are not familiar, you don't play it every year and compete, then that's when the impression of the live guys playing in majors will do something for me, because I just don't think it's as great of a deal that they did that at Augusta. It's not that impressive. And I think one of the things that helped them is they played in Orlando the week before and came off of back-to-back weeks. So they were kind of playing a little bit competitive golf into the Masters. And so, but I thought it was a good Masters.
But that was part of the narrative, was like they couldn't hold up for 4 rounds because they don't, they don't do that anymore, which I always thought was kind of like, I mean, you've got to be in shape ish, but
well,
it's like,
and there's a grind
not,
to it
yeah.
mentally, probably more
the
than
mental
anything.
grind. I
Yeah.
would say was like,
But I go back, when you're competing on even the 3-day tournament today, I'm going to play in the Kiwanis tournament. I'm not going to be grinding and reading every putt and walking around the green and doing all those things in the charity golf tournament. It's there to have fun. If we win, fantastic. That's what those guys are doing on the Live Tour. They're hanging out with buddies, having a great time. They're this weekend in Australia. The only reason I know, and I don't even follow Live on Twitter, so I need to figure out, how do I block those tweets?
it's very easy. Just block them.
But no, they infiltrate you with
They're
other
everywhere.
things. It's like
Big Brother is watching.
yes, and that they've got a big party scene set around one of the tees, similar to, I guess, maybe the Waste Management. But they're just going to go play. So I agree with you, Josh. The competing 4 days in a row. But if I asked you to make briskets, and I know you can't make 4 briskets, I guess you can. All these other places that do it.
Yeah,
I need you to make 4 briskets in a row. 4 days in a row. I need you.
I'd get tired of it.
But you could do it.
Yeah.
But if I came to you,
But are they all going to be excellent?
yes.
Well,
Are-
obviously.
you can't lose. You can't win the golf tournament on the first day, but you can lose.
You lose it.
Are they going to be terrible? But if I came to you and I said, "Hey, I need you to make 3 briskets, and then I need you to make the fried bologna thingy, whatever she used to have," you may have a hard
I forgot
time.
about that.
Don't be
Fried
jealous
bologna.
of my
Fried
potatoes.
bologna, whatever, flippity
They
woppity.
were poor.
That would be your new course. That would be your course that
Yeah.
you're not used to.
I don't know how to
You're
do
not
that.
familiar.
You're right.
I don't know how to roll the bologna and get the chips just right. That would be your struggle. And so,
Hey, isn't it barbecue chips and cottage cheese?
Yeah, well,
okay,
but
so
he already
you
knows how to
can't
make
talk.
that. He's already
You
made
can't
that.
talk.
He knows how to
Don't
make
talk
that.
to me.
But he's not going to know how to make the roly bologna thingies that you
Rolling
do.
bologna.
And-
Is that what that's called?
He can be
Rolling
taught.
bologna?
But that's my point. So these
Wow,
guys,
this
when they go
digressed
to
quickly.
Los Angeles Country Club, they go to Hoylake, and they go to play the PGA Championship next month. If they go and compete, because they're all going to have a chance to be in those. If the Live guys compete, then you can start talking about, all these things. And Ron made a point that, and this week is a designated event, which Rory pulled out of. Rom is playing. We're starting to see some of that take place. But anyway, the Masters was great. It was fun.
It was sad to see Tiger. He just
Oh, I'm glad you
Man,
pointed that
that
out.
was just that was hard to watch. I felt terrible
he
for
was-
him.
he
He
was
was
a-
hurting.
He was a crippled, hurting
God,
man.
that was tough to watch.
And so
Yeah, I don't know that he can do that. I mean, I don't know if that comes and goes, or if that's just permanent state.
Well,
but-
and the talk leading into the Masters was Tiger's ability to hold up, but because of the weather,
yes,
and it
yeah.
looked like
That just really took him
they
down.
they were playing golf in what we would see football players having to battle through, and they're and it's a different thing because they're running and doing all those deals, and they're kind of used to that. But he just looked very, very tough. I don't anticipate him being ready for the PGA Championship.
No, not at all.
Will he be ready? And what stinks, and we're going to talk about when we get to Got Your Number segment a little bit later, when we look into Greeny's book and we look at the number we're going to talk about.
Pardon, sorry.
It's sad to see him not, like Peyton Manning went out on top, winning a Super Bowl, and even though he didn't do a lot to win that second Super Bowl, Von Miller was the Super Bowl MVP. He got to go out in a way that was clapping
Right.
and exciting. We're not seeing that with Tiger. We're not getting to see that because of the injury and the wreck, and he's got more.
Well, he had the personal life fallout that he never really got the chance to regain. Kobe had some personal life issues that he was able, and he passed away, but he did so after he was able to kind of regain the
But
public.
Tiger, I think, started to do that.
He started to, but he never really got.
Even though he had that
right.
terrible day in November where the car wreck and all those things that took, or the running into the mailbox or whatever took place, he did have that happen. But also in that, when that he started being the new Tiger, that he had a personality. He reached out to fans. He was becoming
It was
this.
like a mini comeback.
He was
after
being
that.
likable.
Well, no, I'm saying he was on the way to that, but I would have hoped to see that in full.
And
like,
because we saw when he won the Tour Championship and everybody's following behind him up the fairway in the Tour Championship in 2018. He wins the Masters in 2019 in a fashion because people, again, got to Race Creek and balls kept falling into it. And so he found a way to beat Molinari and all those things. And so I just, you hope there's something that he can get healthy.
Yeah, kind of revive.
Because he's not the first person to have to bounce back from a broken leg. We saw Alex Smith, who almost died and almost lost his leg, to being able to come back and play a little bit.
Yeah, playing football is a lot different.
It's a lot different. And so
with the career that Tiger's had, it is sad. I hope he can bounce back, because I would hate for him to kind of go out.
And you don't want to be the last image of Tiger on the golf course, pouring down rain and limping like he broke it again.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was 80 years old out there. I mean, it was just terrible.
It was bad, but I'll tell you what is not terrible. Tomorrow, the Rising Stars of Texas Country, 106.9, the Country Giant, is blocking off Cypress Street in downtown Abilene tomorrow, Saturday, April 15th, bringing in the Rising Star of Texas and Red Dirt Country for a free show for you and your friends. The Rising Stars of Texas Country will be Olivia Harms, James Robert Webb, Shane Terrell and the Stumblers, Della Rose, Caleb Sutton, and I heard Caleb Sutton last night. He's fantastic. Be sure. And then Ryder Grimes, one of the big rising stars of Texas Country, Ryder Grimes, along with the lineup. Music starts at 3 o'clock tomorrow, so hang out. There'll be food trucks, there'll be beverages, all the things. So be sure you get out tomorrow downtown for the Rising Stars of Texas Country show, brought to you by 106.9, the Country Giant. When we come back, we'll kick off our Embark Land Management hour number 2 with Misty's Bag and a lot more after this.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I thought so, but yeah, I feel like y'all think I'm so weird. Is that weird to just like randomly go into a stretch?
Well,
I just feel very tight today. Like,
he was just like,
I know he did. And then I was like, am I being weird? I'm stretching. I don't know. I just feel so tight. Like, I don't know. I need to stretch. Get out of here, crazy. Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, that's what's wrong with him. Yeah, I do. Have you ever been to Stretch Works?
No, I
need to go.
I'm terribly not.
Yeah, I'm like, I do. Or maybe I just slept weird, but just feeling a little tight.
When I was like, quote unquote, in shape, like I was not the most like, like been down and touch your toes. And,
yes.
Like,
well, and that takes a long time to get there.
Yeah.
That's like when girls, I know when I was little, I wanted to do the splits.
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And man, that doesn't happen overnight. Like, you don't just do the splits.
I think some people do.
Well, you're right. Some are definitely more limber, but I had to like work at it.
If I did the splits, I was just like either be there and die or like take me to the hospital.
You cannot get up.
No, like
you're like over.
You're gonna have to have groin replacement surgery. Whatever that entails.
That would be terrible. So what, like, do you have a goal with like your working out? Are you like trying to achieve something? Or are you just trying to like maintain, or just get a little healthier?
Stay alive.
Stay alive. Stay alive.
Yeah, here's this, I guess, can be on Facebook. My entire adult life, like got out of high school, and like was.
Hey, real quick, what did you Google? What?
It's Magnificent 17. Got out of high school. It was in pretty good shape at about like 250, and got to like 300, and I was like, I'm too fat. I've got to lose the weight. So I started like working out a little bit. Got back down into like 260, 250 again. Went
to what?
Like 260, and then got married and went back to 300,
Oh, he was
And,
happy.
yeah.
He got the happy fats.
Then I started working out again. I got back like I lost 50 pounds in 1 year.
Holy moly.
Got to 255. Then my sons were born, and I got back to like pushing 3 bills again. And now I'm back to 270. So
Oh,
you know,
good
like,
for you.
I don't know
I
what
just
I don't
go
know
on
what
this
my
roller
healthy weight
coaster
should
with
be.
50 pound
Good.
like back and forth.
Dang.
Every
Yeah.
time
That's
every
a lot
time,
of weight too.
Every time I hit 3 bills, I'm like, that's too big.
Yeah.
Gotta cut it.
Everybody has their
Right.
I don't know
like,
what my healthy weight should be.
like their number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Well-
when I start creeping up, I'm like, okay, better fast for a
Well,
couple of days.
like my shirt's getting a little wet right there. You know, like,
Oh, yeah.
like,
It gets jarred right
Yeah.
here.
we all have a weight. Or
yeah,
you're like
I can,
your clothes fit a little weird.
Wear a tie. You know, for a while there, I couldn't.
Yeah.
It's easy,
If
okay?
you get that tie button, and you're afraid it's gonna just go.
Clay and I had a joke like when we got married. We're like, okay,
Poke someone's eye out.
we have a weight. Like this is your weight and this is your weight.
You
Don't
see
cross
that?
it.
You see that? I'm out.
Like yeah, if you exceed it, I'm out.
That is
So
my,
do y'all,
like,
instead
it's
of
in
how
the- it's
tall
in the
you
contract.
instead of how tall instead of how tall you are at the kitchen wall, you got this.
Yeah, seriously.
If your belly gets to here,
Yeah.
you're out.
Clay's recently lost like 25, 30 pounds.
I've
and
lost
kept
some.
it off. He's doing really well.
I had 2 different people say, "Oh, have you lost some weight?" So I wore that shirt 12 days in a row.
I like the shirt you have on today. I like those shirts where you can't tell, like, those are little boats.
Oh yeah. Can't tell.
Floating your boat. Well, welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. Rolling our Embark Land Management Hour number 2. In our previous hour, our Lawrenceville headline report was Josh Harris is part of a group that is going to be looking to purchase the Washington Commanders at $6.5 billion. He's also it's some couches as couch cushions. Yeah, you know what I mean. 76ers and New Jersey Devils owner, again, Josh Harris. Magic Johnson is part of this group. The Bills and the Bills, I've said that twice. It's because my handwriting is so bad. The Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat will be playing tonight along the Thunder and T-Wolves to try to fit in and get into the NBA playoffs as they finish out. The Lakers and the Hawks won earlier in the week and they are in. Lamar Jackson has a receiver, but he don't have a team at the moment. OBJ signs an $18 million deal, 1-year deal, $15 million guaranteed. And again, the Tampa Bay Rays continue winning at 13-0, on pace to win 162 games, which is very impressive. But it is time to kick off our 8 o'clock hour, and we're rocking and rolling with I think the end.
The dancing and then the end is y'all scream.
Yes.
Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
It's pretty good stuff, but it is. It's time for Misty's Bag, brought to you by Mulligan's. Again, thank you everybody that came out last Thursday to Mulligan's last Thursday. So go check them out and good stuff. So Misty, we'll turn it over to you.
All right. So this question comes from, I think Hodge is going to like this. Maybe. We'll see.
Uh-oh.
The question or the email?
Who's the
Well,
email?
maybe both.
Okay.
Granny Golfer 52.
Granny.
Granny Golfer 52.
That's
So
probably
this is
his
kind of
hobby.
a scenario into a question.
Maybe that's why I normally
That's-
shoot on a back 9 or a front 9 at 52.
I'll just alter ego like grandma.
All right. A huge earthquake just tore Augusta National apart. Which location should the Masters change to? And should the name change due to location change?
Negative. Actually, and I mentioned this in the segue before we did our master report, that the trees are smart. They started cracking
Yeah, they did.
to let everybody know I'm about to fall, and then fell and nobody was injured. So
It's kind of remarkable that no one was injured. That was
like,
disastrous.
yes, because they like a couple of twigs fell and all of a sudden timber, these 2 trees fell. So and again, I know you say I do this. First of all, I think the Masters in Augusta is probably so good. They probably got a backup golf course. They just roll it out there and be ready as soon as the earthquake was over.
But you have to imagine they don't.
Okay,
this
so they
is
don't. I mean, they've got
this is a scenario.
they've got a system underneath the greens that suck out the water, so it's not I mean, it's amazing.
It's gone, Hodge. Just let it go. We've got to change location.
So where would I move the Masters to? Now, it's going to take a little bit to rebuild a golf course. Obviously, it takes time. So over the next 4 years, let's say it takes 4 years, I would move it around. Can I do that? Or does it have to go to one place?
I mean, sure. Why not? Move
Okay.
it around if you want. Tell us. I mean, what you've got 4 places that you would, off the top of your head?
Well, I would do, ironically, I think it's called Squaw Valley. No, it's not called Squaw Valley. Sage Valley. I'll look it up. Long story short,
S Valley.
it's
S
something Valley,
Valley.
and it's outside of Augusta. I think maybe in South Carolina. But a guy wanted to be a member of Augusta National, and they wouldn't let him. And it ticked him off. So he went and built his own Augusta National type golf course, and they say it's immaculate, like almost better than Augusta. When Josh starts doing his, I'll look it up. I would move it there and just to tick the Augusta people off.
Slap them in the face.
You can move it there. I would move it, probably one of it, to the new PGA place in Frisco that they've just built there, which hopefully we may get a Ryder Cup there one day and not have to fly to the Ryder Cup. So I would have it there. I would move it to that place. Cypress Point is a prestigious golf course that very few people can get on.
Where's it at?
In California.
I thought it was California.
Cypress Point would be a cool place to have it at. So I think you could have it there, or just to be nice, have it at Colonial so I could go all the time.
Yes.
And they have a jacket, so if they hand out a plaid jacket, it's not green. So move the Masters to Colonial, Cypress Point, and the place I'm going to look up in a minute because I can't remember the name of
S
it.
Valley.
S Valley is where I'd have it. Josh, where would you move the Masters?
Well, seeing as I know, maybe I think you named every golf course I've ever heard of.
So now he's moving it to
Except
Maxwell, Diamondback,
Except for there's that Whistler one. You didn't say that. I don't know where that one's at.
Whistling Straits.
Whistling Straits.
I mean,
Yeah.
Lajitas would be cool.
You could do it in April because it wouldn't be blazing hot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would want to keep something that was in the similar like Southern tradition, because of that being kind of synonymous with the Masters. So I don't know of any off the top of my head, but I'd look for something in like South Carolina or Alabama, just somewhere in a similar part of the country, to have that similar kind of look. But I don't know anything about golf, so that's all I got.
So you would keep it in the South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that
You
whole
have to
pimento
keep it
cheese
there.
sandwiches and all that
Yeah.
stuff, like it's a Southern type thing. It's like, if you like, you take other things like that, like the Kentucky Derby, if you had to move that somewhere else, it wouldn't be the same thing anymore if you changed the atmosphere, So that's where I'm going, but I don't know names of golf courses.
Yeah, I actually had
Sage Valley. So
Sage
Sage Valley,
Okay.
Where's it?
15 miles away. It's in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
15 miles
Okay,
away
that
from
works.
Augusta National is the rolling countryside of South Carolina lies the exclusive Sage Valley, known better as here as S Valley, golf course. And so Weldon Wyatt established a course. That's the guy.
Weldon Wyatt.
He wanted to be a member of Augusta National. Wasn't able
We
to.
need to interview that guy. Let's look him up.
Still
I-
alive?
yeah,
When did
I
you make
like
this
that.
course?
2001 or 2005.
One
So,
of the two.
One of the two.
It's fine.
It's a
Details
multiple
don't matter.
multiple choice
This
question.
is Misty's bag. We don't need the details.
The other day. He recently done it. So that's an interesting question about Granny Pants. I mean,
Yes.
Granny Golf 52.
Granny pants, granny golfing pants.
No, hey, that's what you get. That's the in between stuff.
Well, and then
here.
I'm like, are you 52? Do you have 52
What,
grandkids? Were
52
you
grand.
Born at
were you
50.
born? I know.
I would
I have so many
born in-
questions.
was
Greg.
I would say
was
born in
Granny's
52.
basketball number 52 when she
Right.
was?
I need to
Granny.
know. Are you even a granny?
You've
You
got it.
I need more details on these emails, people.
Granny
Yeah,
golfer.
feel free to put your name
Yeah.
on it because we
And your
can.
bio.
I feel like you can't be 52 because that's too. I mean, you can't be granny at 52.
Y'all, I could be. My son's
Oh,
about
no,
to
but
graduate.
that's not. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
you
a.
can.
That's not like a. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I think of granny as like really old.
Like 80.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen people that are grandmothers that they take on the like when you think of Granny and Mimi, it's an older person. But I've seen people that are
I mean,
named.
yeah, it's easy to be a grandpa in your 50s. I mean, but it's just like it's not.
But the term
The
granny
term
makes
granny
you
makes me
think
think
like
old.
old
Well, and
school.
sorry,
get your
what
hair
I
done
think
once
is-
a week.
What I think is also funny, again, this is sports life.
People that are playing whatever that game is at the,
Bridge?
Like bridge.
Mahjong?
yeah, or there was ones with dominoes or
I think
whatever.
that's
I don't know.
mahjong.
Mahjong. Yeah.
Mahjong, is that how to say it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I thought it was like
I
montage.
see. I
No.
see older women.
I don't know.
Older women play that game. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but they seem to be very into it.
Bridge just sounds so formal. Like you should be playing it at
Like Tracy's grandmother plays bridge and mahjong
Mahjong.
weekly. Yeah.
It just sounds so
Now
like, fancy.
I played mahjong on the computer. Remember, you had the
yeah,
the
connect
cards
tiles.
that you had to.
Yeah,
It's like match game.
Mine was Minesweeper.
match game.
We've got a few.
It's still playing Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do not. It's phase 10 on my phone. But that's a funny thing as we transition from the bag and Misty's. Again, brought to you by Mulligan's. Go check them out. Fantastic. The first game that you played on the computer, these kids wouldn't have a clue about like the original Oregon Trail.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that game.
Shoot a deer, shoot a bear,
Everyone always died of like
dysentery or
rattlesnake-
diarrhea,
rattlesnake
or
bites.
and you always like, hey, who you bringing along with you? And
Yeah,
it
and
was-
you want to pack more like supplies or more ammo. You know, I always went with more ammo. I figured I could just shoot some more ammo.
is there a modern day Oregon Trail?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But we'll look into that. We've already looked up Sage Valley. We're going to take advantage of the internet and look up modern day Oregon
Go
Trail.
hunt.
When we come back, got your number. We're going to start talking about who owns number blank. We'll let you know when that happens right after this.
Just so y'all know, I would move it to Ireland.
You know about our document
Oh.
construction and paper shredding business.
Oh, yeah, we didn't
Our
ask her.
services
No, it's
include
fine.
routine pickup, purges,
We
or
we
website
digressed.
drop-offs.
to
No, it's
like
totally
no
fine.
return.
No, I actually was looking this up because I don't know, but because I like Rory, says his career really took off at this course.
Can you tell? Oh, it's the production.
Rush.
Over the years.
Port Rush, Northern Ireland.
Sinclair will have to make
So
sure
I
it's
would
right.
pick that.
Not on the air.
North Clark Street. You'll be glad you did. And I know the DRI shredders.
Aw, Collins made ESPN.
Yeah.
And look, she's Kennedy, her, Maddie, Aubrey. Oh, Aubrey's hair. That's so cute.
What?
They made ESPN, like they were at the game yesterday. AC played Baylor.
Oh, on ESPN
Softball.
Plus.
Yeah.
Power of your co-op membership at togetherwesave.com.
Have y'all? No.
Offices in
I'll
Stanford,
ask.
Logie, Snyder, and at newcountry.co-op.
Uh,
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing one of the best.
Have y'all seen on-
around with amazing food, great drinks, live
Oh,
TV
green
shows,
room
your
meeting.
favorite sporting
He said,
events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have
I know, he's so
to
mean.
tell your friends about. Check out PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall of Abilene. For over 33 years, Lawrence Hall of Abilene has been the place to find the best GMC Buick and Chevy, and that is still true today. Great products and great service too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or visit us online at Lawrence Hall of Abilene, TX.com. Or at Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years. Right you, right customers.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
At First Faith and Trust, our story started in 1996 and it continues because of you, our customers, our communities, and our neighbors. We are proud to be a small part of your success. But where does your story start? Where do you want to go? Whether starting a business, saving for the future, or launching your ideas to the next level, we want to help you take your first steps towards something big. Call or email one of our bankers today. At First Bank and Trust, we see potential, ideas, innovation, growth everywhere.
Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Pest Patrol, Pest Patrol, Pest Patrol. In a big bright yellow truck coming to your door. Call Pest Patrol.
I'm Will and Hurt, and we've been protecting families just like yours with pest problems for 30 years. If you have pest issues, let our family help yours. For service or questions, call or text at 325-673-6700.
A big bright yellow truck coming to your door. Pest Patrol. Hey, it's Jimmy Clyde drumming every weekday from 10 till 2, right here on 106.9 The Country Club. And the 11 o'clock hour,
Like,
it's
it's
your
getting
midday
crazy.
events calendar.
Well, I just didn't know if anybody had seen it.
Oh yeah, no. Like I'll tell you more about it later.
I'm not on the in crowd.
So you're probably smart enough not to be on Facebook.
I'm on there. I don't really look at it. All I get is like random people asking me to be their friend. I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know if they know me.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. We're rolling along. Now, one of the things that we did not do, and Misty made a very good point about it in our commercial break, we are rocking through our 8 o'clock hour, brought to you by Embark Land Management. Appreciate them. If you need land, any kind of land needs, give them a call. They will be glad to take care of you. But appreciate Daniel and Victoria. Embark Land Management, hour number 2. Misty, where would you move the Masters?
So since I am a Rory fan, that's who I was rooting for. He
Who
kind
didn't
of
even
got.
make the cut.
I know, but it's okay. So his career kind of took off at Portrush in Northern Ireland, and so I think I would go big or go home. Like, we're not going to keep it in the U.S. We're going across the pond. We're going to Ireland. So that's where I would move it until Augusta got their life together.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you're wrong, but that's okay. It is your question, and
It
you get to
is
answer
my
it.
bag.
All right. So one of the things that we wanted to start to do, and again, encourage you. Mike Greenberg's book just came out. Got Your Number, where they go, him and Himbo go through 1 through 100 on trying to see who owns each number. And I threw it out to Josh and Misty and said, why don't we start talking about some of these? Because there are some, just like the debates that you could have if you, again, you can order it anywhere online, go down to Abilene, our Books a Millions once at the mall. Go buy it. It's great stuff. And those that are watching will, again, look on giving some away. But so we thought about doing a number, and today's number is going to be, as the music that Josh created today is from the Magnificent Seven. And so our number that we're going to look at today is number 7. Now, Misty, we obviously need to get you a copy of the book. Josh has one. We've got this copy of this book, number 7. Josh, who do you think will give who has it, who Greenie and Himbo think owns 7? Who do you think has number 7? Who owns number 7?
Well, I think this is it's a hard one because from my personal bias in growing up, and the Magnificent Seven was his walk-up song. It would be Pudge Rodriguez, who wore the number 7 in more Major League Baseball seasons than anyone else in history. Was a 14-time All-Star, 13-time Gold Glove, a 7-time Silver Slugger, the second best catcher, I guess, all time by WAR to Johnny Bench. I mean, quite the resume. Won an MVP, and I'm a huge Pudge Rodriguez fan. So that was like, when I think of number 7, that's who I think of.
And I think in these numbers, in 21's one of those, I think these numbers, the bias of when you grew up, where you live, what your favorite sport is going to lean to who you would debate owns that number.
And I would say that if beyond my own personal preference for number 7, I would pick Mickey Mantle, who was one of the all-time greats in baseball, multiple MVPs. I read yesterday when I was thinking about the number 7. Before I read the book, I wanted to like kind of make my own thought on it. So you said we were going to talk about number 7. So I thought of Pudge, which was, but then I thought I would bet it's Mickey Mantle was kind of, and so I looked into him. He played 20 major league seasons and was an all-star 16 of them. 3-time MVP. He is still like a World Series hero, as far as like his World Series stats. Of course, he played, I think, in 7 World Series to go along with it, or like during his career with the Yankees. So I was actually kind of surprised that it wasn't him. And I think it's very debatable which way you went with that.
Well, Josh just took mine, but mine is Mickey Mantle. So, I mean, 7 World Series, 3 MVPs, super long career. I mean, baseball's not my favorite sport. Obviously, I could go with Elway. Big Ben's number 7. I mean, there's other people, and I don't know who the book picked because I don't have it and I didn't look it up. But just to be
was that
fair,
a slight? Like, I don't have the book?
no, yeah, maybe after the show I'll get one. But yeah, for me, it's Mickey.
So Mickey Mantle, and I agree. I thought it was going to be Mickey Mantle. I thought Greeny grew up in the New York area. I thought it'd be Mickey Mantle too, but they selected John Elway. They selected John Elway as the guy that owns number 7. John Elway, no quarterback won more games in the 80s and 90s than John Elway. He had considered during his 16th season, he was responsible for 334 touchdowns, generated over 4,700 of the team's 5,800 points. He's the first to play. He's played in more AFC Championship games. He led the previous perennial losers, which were the Broncos, who were terrible before he got there. 14 playoff wins, including 5 AFC Championships. And as of writing this, only Tom Brady has started more Super Bowls than John Elway. And he really did change. In the book, Greeny talks about how loved John Elway is in Denver to this day. I'm sure he doesn't ever buy a meal or anything like that. I mean, he is the guy that brought 2 Super Bowls to.
Yeah, he's still the GM of the team. I mean,
and this is why I think it's interesting how much he's loved. Fantastic quarterback. He owns 7. He changed Denver. Even though Peyton won the last Super Bowl, again, Peyton brought a Super Bowl along with a great defense and Wade Phillips.
Elway was the
Elway is the guy,
Yes.
and so I understand why Greeny picked him. I understand that he is one of the best of all time. But the irony is he's fantastic. To this day, the 2 plays I remember is the drive and changed the Browns' trajectory. The Browns were good. Believe it or not, people, the original Cleveland Browns were good. And if there's not a fumble to give the ball back to John Elway to go score and lead them to a Super Bowl that ended up not winning. But when I think of John Elway, I think of the helicopter play when he was running against the Packers and they upset and won that Super Bowl. And then they won back-to-back Super Bowls. John Elway winning back-to-back Super Bowls. The funny thing is, and the reason why he's so loved, and yes, they won a Super Bowl, but they haven't been great with him as the GM. He's been fantastic as a quarterback. I mean, to this day,
But what's your leash as a GM who has a Super Bowl as a GM? I mean, how long do you get to be mediocre to subpar?
Yeah, until you get the big.
When you've already won a Super Bowl. I mean, that's just like, I think that's a pretty long leash. But I mean, we saw with the Texas Rangers, John Daniels was let go last year, but he was around for a long time, based on the fact that, they were good from 2009 to 2016.
Okay, so he stepped down. He stepped down as GM so that George Patton, which is the new ownership, is taking over.
Yeah.
But I said all along, it is not, and I need to look, it's not Tim Tebow's fault that he thought he could be an NFL quarterback. It's the Denver Broncos' fault. The Denver Broncos picked him in the first round of that draft and played him at quarterback. And yes, he did lead them to a playoff victory. But if somebody would have done what they did to Julian Edelman and realized, hey, you played quarterback at Kent State, but you're not going to be a quarterback in the NFL. And look what Julian Edelman did in the NFL. Multi-Super Bowl winner, questionable Hall of Famer, probably won't get in until maybe later if he does. And I think if they would have done that with Tebow, and Tebow, hey, you're a really good athlete. You see that with quarterbacks that are in the NFL or that were in college that moved to cornerback or receiver.
It's the same thing with coaching. I mean, coaches at the collegiate level aren't good NFL coaches, and vice versa. I mean, it's a totally different ball game.
I agree. So let us know. Maybe
what's yours though? What's your pick? You didn't say. Are you going?
No, I thought Mantle would be it.
Okay.
But I understand why they picked John Elway because Mantle didn't change the franchise of the Yankees.
Gotcha.
I mean, the Yankees were
they were already the Yankees.
They were good.
Yeah.
But what
so
I
you're
can see
picking
that.
him, or you understand it because he changed the franchise.
Yeah, what
That's
the
why you're
impact
giving
that
him that number.
that franchise of Denver was so terrible before John Elway came along. And the thing is, John Elway was going to go play baseball. He was going to go play baseball and didn't want to be drafted by the Baltimore Colts and was like, hey, I'm not doing this. Ends up getting drafted by the Denver Broncos and obviously Hall of Fame career. Was fun to watch, great quarterback, and won 2 Super Bowls back-to-back with and got to go out on top. That's the other thing that I wanted to mention that I like about John Elway. Will Mahomes be the next one? Because I can't think and Troy Aikman was one of them, but he was injury prone and concussioned, and that's why he retired. Tony Romo injured, retired, and never won a Super Bowl. But Tom Brady didn't do it either. Who are we going to see somebody like Elway stay with the franchise for his entire career and be known as the Denver Bronco? Joe Montana didn't. Joe Montana went to the Kansas City Chiefs. Tom Brady, as I mentioned, went to Tampa Bay. Are we going to see that? And do we think if it's going to happen, Aaron Rodgers is about to leave and go to the New York Jets? Do we think, is that going to matter to these players today and franchises to have that quarterback stay with their same team for their entire career?
I think if anybody, it is going to be Mahomes. Like, unless Tony Romo's and has to retire due to injury.
But I think the benefit for him, if that does happen, he's played there long enough and won 2 Super Bowls.
Right, like he's already
he's
so
done
that
his time.
he's done that.
Absolutely.
The other one that might do it is if he can continue to stay healthy and do all those things is maybe Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow may be that person. But I just wonder if that matters to players anymore.
I think it matters. I think that that most people would. I think almost any player would say they would like to get on a team, have a good run, stay there, be beloved in their city, and I think that would be at least on the list of priorities for any player. But above that on the list is playing time. Is like
in money.
And money.
Yeah, money.
But I mean, I don't like money becomes is different for different people, obviously, but
well, it's like $18 million to go play for the Ravens is a great gig for OBJ.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have cared who was giving him that money. And again, I don't think he cared who's playing quarterback.
I don't know that he does either. But there's certain players that are like that. But then you say like Joe Montana. He didn't finish with the 49ers because the 49ers needed to move on. They had Steve Young. You get to the point where it's like Steve Young's going forward, Joe Montana's going backwards.
That was the first Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre thing.
Right.
So our era
the franchise has to make a decision, and Joe Montana has to decide: do I just walk away at that point and be Mr. San Francisco 49er, or do I go give it a try with the Chiefs because I still want to play football?
Right.
So that's not Joe Montana's fault. I mean,
no.
It's just the circumstances. Now, on the vice versa, you have people that hang around way too long that are a shell of themselves, but the franchise doesn't have anyone to replace them, and so and he got kind of knocked out with injury. But Troy Aikman was kind of in that scenario, and then Troy Aikman left, and the Cowboys were in quarterback hell until Romo came along.
Well,
You know,
but the other guy that did do it that just came to my mind was Big Ben. Big Ben played his entire career for the Steelers, won 2 Super Bowls.
But again, left not really at the peak of his game, and there's no one there to take his place.
Yeah.
And they're trying to put their
I know,
wishes
but
into
the
Kenny Pickett,
Favre to Rodgers, Montana to Young. I mean,
and really the Chiefs are probably a very similar.
Romo to Dak.
But
I mean,
the Chiefs, because Alex Smith wasn't a chump. He was. I mean, he wasn't great.
No, he wasn't a franchise guy. I mean, so
I guess they were ready to move on without the championship. Again, Favre won a championship. Montana obviously won championships, and they moved on to Steve Young. Steve Young wins a championship. Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wins a championship, and now Aaron Rodgers is looking to leave. And so, because I'm sure, and I know we got to go to break and come back with our knowing it's half the battle, but you think about. I think a lot of people thought Tom Brady was only going to be a Patriot forever, and then
I kind of thought that,
and then
I really
so anyway, John Elway owns number 7. We'll start looking, and maybe we'll look at another number next week, and we'll obviously get Misty a book. We'll be back right after this.
Yes, I do want a book because I want to read.
Well, the reason you don't have one is
Why?
we gave away the 2, and I'm supposed to have 3 more months.
Drop-offs at our state-of-the-art, safe, and secure facility. Our folks at DRI, or better known as the DRI Shredders, are here to assist and serve you in the destruction of your most private documents or just those annoying stacks of boxes you've had piled up over the years. Give us a call at 325-232-6868 or come on out and see us at 3602 North Clapp Street. You'll be glad you did, and I know the DRI Shredders will too.
My life is always on, every single day, and the electricity my co-op provides is more essential to it than ever before. It allows me to shop online while I'm watching TV and keeps my mobile phone charged so I can return the 10 missed calls from my mother. I depend on the electricity from my co-op to power my life and keep me connected every single day. Learn more about the power of your co-op membership at togetherwesave.com.
The Country Electric Cooperative, your local member-owned electric co-op.
I was like, what are you doing?
I heard that the Country
Like, what? I need to be stressed out. You think about it. I was kind of standing weird.
Let's look. Hey, Josh, you doing all right? I'm good.
Get out of here. These old bones. I was standing kind of weird, like I was a child. I am not. For those listening and wondering, that factory is closed.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall and Abilene. For over 33 years, Lawrence Hall and Abilene has been the place to find the best GMC food and ship, and that is still true today. Great products and great service too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or visit us online at LawrenceHallOfAbileneTX.com. For Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years, by you, right customers.
Miller Lite is the light beer brew for people who love to taste the beer. For those who are always the first to volunteer for beer runs. Who hit up tailgates for sports that they don't even like. And believe having a beer fridge in the garage is non-negotiable. It's a 96-calorie, 3.2 carb love letter to beer lovers who know that the best part of beer is the beer part. Miller Lite. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2022 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin beer.
Hi, I'm Sharon Riley. Here in Abilene, folks have lots of options for eating out, from large chains to locally owned mom and pops like us. I want you to know we really appreciate your business and are always striving for wonderful food, service, and prices. So we listen to you and have updated our menu, bringing back old favorites like nachos and fajitas and adding more small plates for the light appetites. So come see us. I want to hear you say, yum, yum.
Embark Land Management is the most versatile and capable land management contractor in the big country, serving private and commercial customers alike. Embark can get the job done. So whether you need a stock tank cleaned out, a pond constructed, or site prep and land clearing, give Embark Land Management a call at 325-668-7071. Transparency, communication, and trust. That's what you get with Embark Land Management. So give Daniel a call at 325-668-7071 or check out the website at embarkland.com.
At First Bank and Trust, our story started in 1996 and it continues because of you, our customers, our communities, and our neighbors. We are proud to be a small part of your success. But where does your story start? Where do you want to go? Whether starting a business, saving for the future, or launching your ideas to the next
What are
level.
you doing today? Oh, you're going to play golf right after this?
Call or email one of our bankers today.
And then going to,
potential, ideas, innovation, growth,
going out of town. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. We're rocking and rolling here at the bottom of the Embark Land Management Hour number 2. Hanging out here in the Potosi Live studio, which we want to mention, Potosi Live. Head out to potosilive.com. They've announced their Summer Jam coming up June 15th, 16th, and 17th. Get your tickets now. Check them out. You've got Giovanni and Harga. Giovanni. Giovanni. Thursday night. Clint Black, Wade Bowen. Music that you can hear right here on 106.9 The Country Giant. So be sure you check them out. Also want to mention Noah Project's got their golf tournament. I'm fortunate enough to be on that board, but the Noah Project has their golf tournament April 28th. There's a preview party on April 27th. The golf tournament is at Abilene Country Club South Course, better known as Fairway Oaks. Formerly known as Prince. NoahProject.org. Head over to NoahProject.org for a chance to register as a team, or if you want to sponsor, opportunities to do so, or if you just want to give back. Noah Project does a great job here in Abilene, serving amazing people that go through a very difficult time. And so love to have you help participate that. I know y'all got your junior achievement next Wednesday. I will not, unfortunately, be able to be a part of that. We've got our...
Is that unfortunate?
It is.
Maybe I'm glad you're not going to be there.
That's right, because my team would dominate. We'd bring the live guys in and be really good at it.
I know you wouldn't bring the live guys in.
That's true. I don't like the live guys.
Well, and also we've got Mulligan's Bash coming up.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff going on. Check it out. Live at Lytle is back up rolling on Thursday night. So
get it all on my calendar.
I know. It's a lot.
So Live at Lytle Thursday nights. Look on Facebook, the Lytle Land and Cattle Facebook. You can see the lineup on Thursday nights out on their patio. And so we're all about educating. We've been doing that for a few weeks now, and we've educated you on live music that is happening in Abilene. And now it's time for you to be able to know. Knowing half the battle, and Josh, it's your turn.
Knowing is half the battle. You know, and I was thinking about what to talk about this week. My first thought was I should tell you not to drink Bud Light, but then I realized that y'all are such good, you take care of the sponsors of our show, and obviously it's Coors and Miller that sponsor our show, so you don't drink Bud anyway. So we can just move on. You know, we have great sponsors, and I'm glad that we get to be here as a result of those sponsors, like my employer, First Bank and Trust, who allows me to be here, a little late on Fridays, which doesn't hurt my feelings at all. But anyway, we're happy about our sponsors taking care of us and allowing us to be here. That goes without being said, but needs to be said. But this week I was thinking, and I actually want to pose a question to y'all, because this is one of those things that maybe I overreact to personally. I mean, I'm sure that I'm a very reasonable person, but I was thinking about the subject of line management. Okay, like if you're standing in line, at any sort of, let's say, an eatery or a entertainment venue, you're going to, walk through to ride a ride at the fair, whatever the case may be. And this is where I want to know if I'm wrong on this. So let's say I show up a little bit late to whatever the event is, and y'all two are in line comfortably ahead. Okay. Now, is it acceptable to go cut because, oh, this is my group, I got to get in line with them?
Cutter peanut butter.
Is that an acceptable cut? Because personally, I don't think it is, and it makes me uncomfortable when, because they're my wife will often do this, I'll hold a place in line and you can come join, and I'm like, I don't like to cut in front of people, and I especially don't like it when people cut in front of me. So that's
He
one.
got angry. The angry voice came out.
There's a story to that I don't know that we have time to share. But I one of the
I don't
few
have a
times I've
dump
truly
button,
lost
Josh.
my cool was when a bunch of people cut in front of me.
So to answer your question, I think one, knowing who else is in line helps that cause.
Okay.
Because if, let's say you drop Leanne off,
Mm-hmm.
Clay drops you off. Sometimes the girl drops the guy off, but a lot of times the guy drops the lady
Yes.
off.
I'm getting in line.
And they go park the car. So if that is the situation where you're walking up, and if the people in line that you're in are behind Leanne, behind you, and they realize Clay's coming up, and they realize you're coming up, I think they're not going to expect you into the line. Losers walk, losers walk the field. I don't think they anticipate that. I think they're going to let you. Oh no, go ahead.
But you premeditated the cut by dropping your wife off and then parking.
You did, but I think it depends on
That's-
how many people.
That's strategy.
Like, if it's just my husband coming to join me, hey, we're a package deal. I'm here,
Okay.
whatever. So that's how I would look at it. But if you got like one person holding the line and 20 people walk in, and now I'm 20 people
Yes.
behind, I think that's where it can become like
And
seriously,
again,
like that's crap.
I think the other thing that you have to play into that and to think in is what the event is.
Yeah.
If it's to get into a ball game, we've mentioned concerts. A lot of times, concerts, they try to do a good job. Again, Garth did this at AT&T last summer. Or whenever we went, was that if there's a lot of people outside, they don't start that concert right away. They've got somebody.
Let the line calm down.
But I think what the event is one. Two, what doesn't help your cause in that line situation is the events leading up to. If your wife or you have been running late, or your children have not made it to where you could get out of the door, it's like I would love to know the arguments that happen on the way to church.
Oh yeah.
Because so if the events have escalated and you're frustrated already, and people start, it's like you're turn right or find a light.
Right.
If you know traffic is going to be your issue, don't do it. If you have had events leading up to that line cutting, that can escalate your frustration.
Well, and some of it is just a patience thing. For me, like
the lack thereof.
And we know that that's not your strong suit.
If I have a ticket to an event, like a ball game or a concert, that I have a seat, a row and an aisle, and my seat is mine, it's just a slight annoyance that I took a little longer to get inside. But if you're going to, like, especially some sort of like standing room only / limited space, or the first 5,000 get a free whatever, and then
how mad would you be if
suddenly
if
like
you're
there's
5,001.
they took your hat?
Suddenly there's like
give me my towel.
Like, oh, I was holding my spot for these guys. Like that would be a totally different thing.
Do you say anything in this moment?
Well, it really depends. Like I have said things before, but it's like typically I just get
dump button thing.
But here's the other thing that's interesting about that.
I don't curse at people.
It's similar to there's one lane traffic, and the person that's driving on the right side.
So that's a whole other thing that I could go off on.
But I'm telling you could tell the person. And now there's been times.
Well, you get caught.
Right.
Like
there are times that I have looked, if somebody's up in a concession stand line at a ball game because you want to get back in your seat, hey, buy me this. Here, I'll buy yours. I'll cover your concession if you'll buy mine too. But you can tell the ones that are looking, hoping to see somebody they know that will let them in.
Well, and we just had this. I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, crap, I just did this. So we went to Mario Brothers movie with some friends, and we had to take a whole row. Row D was us and our friends and our kids and blah, blah, blah.
Pre-purchased the
pre-purchased tickets. Good movie, by the way. Your kids would probably love it. If you haven't taken your kids,
we've talked about it.
I highly suggest it. We all loved it. all of the kids. So go watch it. But the line was long for the concessions. I'm in line. I'm waiting on my daughter and their friends. They rode with someone else. So me and Clay and Brittany are in line. And then, oh my gosh, here comes the other 10 or whatever it was. And
you let them all cut.
And obviously the line was long. So my daughter's one of them. I'm like, Collins and Kennedy, come here because I'm buying their treats or whatever. So I let them come up there with me. I did feel really bad, but I'm like, but that's my daughter. Like, I'm standing here. I need her to tell me what we're getting. So what do you think in that situation?
It's tough. That's what I said. I don't know what the proper etiquette is.
Like,
I want to get in the movie before the movie starts too. I'm behind.
The proper etiquette, get there early. The other proper etiquette, get to the back of the line.
Yeah.
So here's my question.
But then I don't know that really. If you want to think about weighing it, did it really slow them down because you were going to buy their stuff anyway?
Well, no, I just think about the other people. Now I'm ordering 3 popcorns instead of 1 or whatever.
Oh yeah,
I would
have been kind of frustrated behind you. So I definitely would have said something.
I'm sorry for those that were behind me at the mall theater.
You want to know what I think is hilarious about knowing it's half the battle? Is I think Misty has felt attacked in some of these more than any. It started with
Diva went hard.
It started with the church pew.
Now she's a line cutter.
She's a cutter peanut butter, and have you bought your son a new jersey?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. So knowing is half the battle. Brought to you by
this segment to
it's actually like
it's
Misty needs a lot of help.
Misty feels
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Misty is that
all the other ones I'm attacking Hodge. Y'all haven't figured this out yet.
Yeah. So I feel like this is one of those where the people in church feel like the preacher is only working sermons to talk to them. That's what Josh is doing with this. And so
do I do anything right?
Well, you do really good with questions.
Well,
knowing is half the battle.
And this is really one that I think is very.
It's 50-50.
It's nuanced. The situation is nuanced, but I don't know how much time I got left. I can't see that from here, but I don't know. But one thing I will know is when you do break the rules, when you do cut, you know it. Some people are just selfish 100%. Enough to just sail with it.
Well, and I think some people try to do it. It's like my buddy said, don't wave at me. Just don't wave and thank me that I let you in. Just keep driving. Well, you need to work on that. So if you're cutting in line, the opportunities don't.
I think maybe 2 people's okay, not 20. I'm just gonna
understanding the line, understanding the people in it makes
2 people.
I was asking for opinions because I don't know what the proper etiquette is.
Hey, head over to our Twitter page at the Hodge Pack. Let us know what is the proper etiquette for getting in line, or what is okay when it comes to cutting. We may look it up on Emily Post. We'll be back right after this.
That's a really good debate. And now I'm like, crap, I did that the other day at the movie theater. I like Collins and Kennedy. Get with me.
All right, one of the funnier
things. Only 2 people.
One of the funnier things I've ever had online, and I won't tell the whole story. The other one, when I did Taylor Dempsey was New Year's Eve. Out of college, but a bunch of friends, we all went to Gillies in Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, there's concert, places packed. The beer line is full, so I'm standing in the line, getting beer, this guy comes up, and I'm like, next to go, guy I don't know, walks up, he's like, hey man, will you, if I can cut with you, I'll buy your beer. And I said, I don't buy a lot of beer. And he's like, no, that's fine, man. I just and so he gives him his card. Maybe I already had a card on tap. I don't know. But anyway, he says he wants whatever. They hand it to him. He's like, and I got whatever this guy's having. So I walk up there and I said, I would like a case of Coors Light. And they're like, huh? I was like, yeah, a case. And so they gave me a box.
This is great.
Handed me the entire box that I opened up. So there's 24 long necks in it. So then I just start walking through. It's like, here you go. Here you go. Just handing them to random people.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Oh my gosh.
Amazing food, great
You're like, but did you do that? I mean, were you already gonna get a case?
Oh no!
You were
No.
like, because of
I was
this?
gonna get like maybe 4.
Yeah,
You know, I
but
could take
because
it back
of
to
the
my buddy.
situation,
Yeah.
you're like, it's go time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like the lobster.
I actually
I like
like
the
that.
surf and turf, please.
So when Hodge says he's buying our lunch,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I'm ordering. But okay, this is another one. Most of the time, you don't know somebody's buying your lunch.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then you're like, dang it, I ordered the cheapest thing on the menu.
I actually feel the opposite way because there's sometimes I order something that's,
Or
a
I'll
little,
feel
that's a little
bad.
more expensive, and then
Yes.
someone's picking it up. And I wouldn't have ordered that.
I know.
I don't
Or
wanna
vice
seem-
versa, like
I don't
if
want
it's
to
your
seem
mom.
like a diva. You know,
Right.
like,
You're like, well, dang, next time I'm getting the steak
Yeah.
and lobster.
but
That's funny.
KLGD.
he answered the phone.
We've got a live one.
Yes, ma'am. 3 o'clock. Music starts at 3.
Let's call it like a concert.
Yes, ma'am.
But, all right, you know,
You bet. Thank you for coming.
one of the things
Bye.
that just happens to seem like every time I had like a dinner like over there,
Uh-huh.
you know, with that kids,
Oh, yeah.
where you have to get up and go through the walk through line and then come back to your seat. People are mingling and talking, and then you're standing in line. And then there's always, I mean, I've not once been at, you know, like a chamber dinner or, you know, any of those other numerous different things, those type of events where you have to mingle, then you go through the line, you come back and sit down. Almost every time, people are just like, and they're just like cut in front of you.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like, that's an obvious cut. Like,
Hey, when we come back, we'll talk about the things that are coming up, and just briefly, how do you feel about if your team is tanking the way the Mavs did?
it is sad.
Okay,
I don't like
and you're
taking-
gonna read all that stuff again, like about what's going on this weekend.
I'm going to highlight the rising stars again.
Okay, perfect.
Whoa, bird.
Also, well, that's another. I'm like, I feel like we should talk about Facebook people friending you and why they're friending you.
Well, welcome back to the Hodge Pack as we get ready to send you to the weekend with plenty and plenty to do. Buddy of mine wanted to let you know there is a says Hernandez Flea Market here in Abilene. It's going to be on 949 South 14th. Guy there's going to have a lot of different things. He's going to have sports memorabilia, a lot of things out there. So go check that out. But again, we just had a call. Somebody wanted to know about tomorrow's Rising Stars of Texas Country. Will be tomorrow, 106.9. The Country Giant is blocking off Cypress Street in downtown Abilene tomorrow. Again, April 15th. Bring in the Rising Stars of Texas and Red Dirt Country. It's a free show. Bring your friends, all the things, all your people. The Rising Stars of Texas Country will be Olivia Harms, James Robert Webb, Shane Terrell and the Stumblers, Della Rose, Caleb Sutton, and Ryder Grimes. And again, all these are rising stars in the Texas Country, and you get to see them tomorrow for free. Music starts at 3 p.m. There'll be food trucks, beverages, no coolers, please. And make sure to bring your chair and your friends for the free show downtown, again, on Cypress Street. The Rising Stars of Texas Country, brought to you by 106.9, The Country Giant. And so check them out tomorrow. And again, a lot of stuff going on downtown. Of course, the world's largest barbecue. We thank our men and women of our military and their families. That'll be happening tomorrow. I hate to miss it. It's one of my favorite things to do that. And so a lot of things going on tomorrow. So be sure you check that out. Again, the Rising Stars of Texas Country. They're really, really good. I know Caleb Sutton, Della Rose, I've heard. Ryder Grimes, you hear on the Texas Two-Step with Greg Austin each and every day. So check that out tomorrow, April 15th. That's happening tomorrow. The other thing I wanted to talk about is we didn't get to talk too much about it because we appreciate Michael Bacon coming in early before he had to go educate the world at Cooper with our My Town segment. But in our Lawrence Hall Headline Report, again, the NBA playoffs is almost about to start. The final play-in games are tonight. Playoffs will be set. A team that is missing, there's not one Texas team, and the Dallas Mavericks, who did all this moving with bringing in Kyrie Irving, adding him to Luka, and they're on the outside looking in. At the end of the
I
season,
don't really think they're looking at it.
yeah, they're probably vacationing now.
They're
Yeah.
just done.
They're on the outside vacationing now. But they decided to sit everybody. Luka played the first quarter in the second to last game, and then they were done. And basically, from the top, Jason Kidd said, "Those are my bosses. I'm doing what I'm told to do." And they basically tanked the last 2 games of the season. How would you feel? And here's the other frustrating part. In the NFL, if you're the worst, you get the first pick. In the NBA, you are in a lottery system where the worst teams get, more lottery ping pong balls, if you will, for a chance to get a better pick. My frustration about it, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time, which
Ironically, the lottery is supposed to make you not have as much desire to tank because it's not guaranteed that you
well,
get played.
and I just don't think in the NFL there may be a quarterback drafted this year. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. One of those guys may go to a team and impact them in a way. Trevor Lawrence has made the Jaguars better.
Yes.
Burrow has made the Bengals better. I just don't think there's anybody that's in the draft that's going to fall to you that's going to make you that much better in the NBA. Your NBA is going to be better, maybe with a little bit of draft, but you're going to have to get veteran guys. You're going to have to piece people together. There's a reason the super teams win championships now, for the most part. I just don't think it was a smart move. And just like somebody said, the NBA playoffs are better with LeBron in it. Whether you like him or not, it's better if LeBron's in the playoffs. You don't think it's not better to have
Luka
in the
yeah,
playoffs?
We need Luka in the playoffs, absolutely. I agree. I agree with you, Hodge, on
Well,
that.
and that's what I don't know. Like Jason Kidd said, he was just doing as he was told, and I don't know what conversations were had with Kyrie Irving and Luka. As far as like, obviously, if they want to have a chance of being good next year, they need Kyrie to come back, and he's a free agent, so that
Yes.
And say what you will off the field or off the court, he's still a very good basketball player, and they don't have any other good basketball players other than Luka.
Yeah, we have to have somebody other than Luka.
Because if you don't do that
kind of hurts their legacies. Missing the playoffs, whether you win whether you have a chance to win or not, it doesn't look good for your legacy to not be on a playoff team.
Absolutely.
Especially in a league where 50% make the playoffs.
I just feel like that was a dumb move on their part.
I agree. So, speaking of a dumb move, it'd be a
Going
dumb
off the air.
yeah, a dumb move would be to go off the air too late, too early. But another dumb move is to miss out on the Rising Stars show tomorrow. So be sure you're downtown tomorrow. Tune in to JB's coming up at 10, and of course Texas Two-Step, High Lonesome, Red Dirt all weekend. Have a great one. We'll be back next week with more Hodge Pack, sports life, and everything in between. All right, in the stream.